God bless you, family. I'm a changed man for life. Thank you for stopping in and checking out my channel. Thank you for stopping in and checking out this video. If you have not yet subscribed, please take this opportunity to do so. Smash that subscribe button, ring that bell so you get notified when the new videos drop, and you'll be set to go. I appreciate you. I want to start out by thanking all my new subscribers. As you may have heard me mention in recent videos, I finally got over that 1,000 subscriber mark. So I appreciate everybody that has subscribed recently. Thank you for everybody that's supporting the channel. Help me spread this hope. How's everybody doing this Tuesday evening? I hope everybody had a blessed day. And I want to jump right into it. As you see by the thumbnail, you already know what this video is going to be about. It's something that I get asked pretty often when I share my story with somebody. It's a common question that I get. It's something that I've seen other videos done on. Recently, I saw a video from a YouTube channel, 16 to Life. The brother Chill, shout out Chill, 16 to Life. Go check him out. If you haven't checked his channel out, he has some good prison content. He did a video recently about people turning Christian in prison and how that's looked at by other convicts, prisoners, inmates, whatever you want to call it. Dubs also did a video talking about this topic a while back. Real good video. I actually agree with everything Dub said on the subject. And it's a little bit different from how Chill looked at things. If you don't know, if you never checked out 16 to Life, it's an African-American brother. And if you know Dubs is Mexican. And you know that those two races have different views on things in prison. So that probably had a lot to do with Chill's take being a lot different than Dub's take and my take, for that matter. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about it. If you know me or know anything about me, you know I have personal experience with this. I myself turned Christian in prison. I was doing a life sentence. I was 20 years in prison already when I made that decision to give my life to the Lord and start serving God. I started living as a Christian. So let's get into it. Let's talk about it a little bit, right? So I know off the top, there's going to be a lot of people that feel that, yes, indeed, turning Christian in prison is weak. Yes, turning Christian in prison is hiding behind the Bible, people say. But let me share with you my thoughts on why I say absolutely not. Turning Christian in prison is not hiding. Turning Christian in prison is not a sign of weakness. Doesn't mean you're scary. Doesn't mean you're weak. And I'm going to be speaking on my experience of what I lived, and I'm going to speak on my experience of what I saw. Because again, I had been in prison 20 years already before I became a Christian. So I have 20 years experience of seeing this happen with other people. And then I have my experience of having actually lived through it myself. So let's start off with what I saw before I ever became a Christian. Now, in the total, I did 24 years. I was a lifer. If you're not familiar with my story, when I was 21 years old, I committed gang-related murder, went to prison with a life sentence, and did a total of 24 years. And for my first 20 years, I was programming with the homies. And of those 20 years, of those first 20 years, of the total of 24 years, 14 of those years were on level 4. So I did 14 years on level 4. I did 5 years on level 3, 5 years on level 2, and I came home. During those 14 years on level 4, I did 2 shoot terms, both of them in Corcoran, in 4A, 2 left, during the 90s. My first shoot term I caught in 1994, got out from that shoot term in 95, went back to the shoe in 1997, got out in 1999. So I did 2 shoot terms in Corcoran. I was on the 4-yard for 14 years. So I know things have changed since I got out. I got out in 2015. I know things have changed a lot, but I know I still know the basic foundations of what goes on in prison just because I spent so much time there. Not that I keep up on it anymore, not that I even care about what goes on anymore. but I was there long enough that that stuff is burned in my mind. I'll never forget the things I experienced, the things I saw, the things I did, the kind of life I lived, and the kind of life that went on around me. Now, when it comes to somebody turning Christian, I'm gonna tell you about during my first 20 years, especially when I was on a level 4 yard, what my thoughts and feelings were. And I wasn't the type of cat that hated on the Christians that were on the yard. I didn't feel one way or the other about them. Didn't have an issue with them. Didn't have love for them either. There was times where in my young mind, I would think that they were taking up space, just because of the fact that in my mind, I assumed, okay, they're Christians, so they're not going to jump when it comes time to jump. Again, that was an immature mind thinking. That was a non-Christian mind thinking. That was someone that wasn't familiar with Christianity. Um, they're just somebody that was doing what it do, so to speak, on the 4 yards. You know what I mean? We all know that, and as Dubs had talked about in his video when he spoke on the subject, there's no rule saying you can't become a Christian, but there are rules that Christians have to follow. If you are doing things that a Christian is not supposed to do, there's going to be consequences, especially if you started off a gang member, affiliated, and then became a Christian while you're in prison. Even more so, people are going to be watching how you act, watching what you do. And there are going to be people that at the first sign you're doing something wrong are going to speak on it and want to raise an issue and want to handle it. While I was doing those years on the level 4 yards, I never saw somebody, I never personally knew anybody that turned Christian. I encountered cats that were already running Christian by the time I got there. Whenever I drove up to a new yard, to a new prison, there were cats there that were already Christians. I don't know if they came in Christians. I don't know if they turned Christian in the county jail. I don't know if they turned Christian the day before I met them. I have no clue. Wasn't really tripping on that. So I can't really speak on what people's thoughts were about them turning Christian, because when I met them, they were already Christians. Only one time did I see violence take place against a Christian, and that's because he was caught using dope. Not even using dope. He was in debt to another race, and that race brought it to the homies' attention that he owed them money for dope. And there was consequences to that. Homeboy got dealt with. That's the way it is. That's the way it was. That's the only thing I saw on the level 4 in regard to that. I saw that the Christian brothers on the 4 yards were not given a hard time. Nobody messed with them. Nobody took advantage of them. Nobody robbed them. Nothing like that I can say. They were treated, with respect. They were given their space, get treated with respect, treated with courtesy, because that's what it's about in prison. If you've done time, it's all about respect, especially on the level 4 yards, where 99% of the population are lifers or had like super long terms. Wasn't nobody going home, so everything was about respect, right? So they were treated with respect. When it comes to Christians being scary, so I don't talk a lot about violence that took place in prison. I'm not here to promote that. It's not what my channel's about. I don't tell war stories, nothing like that, unless it's really gonna be part of a point I'm trying to make. So that's why I'm going to share this little tidbit right here. I was in Corcoran, and we were on the main line right there in Old Corcoran, and something jumped off in the chow hall with Mexicans and the whites. And there were some Christian brothers that were working in the dining hall. They were working in the scullery, and they jumped with the homies. You know what I mean? That was a decision they had to make. I'm hoping, repented afterwards, but they made the decision they felt was right for them at that moment, and was for them to jump in and be with the business and handle their business. And I know that Afterwards, I heard a lot of conversations, and the homies appreciated the fact that they were willing to back the homies like that, even though they weren't expected to. They weren't. It wasn't mandatory that they jump. But one thing you got to keep in mind is everything in prison is racial. Yards, especially on the 4 yards, and we were always locked down, and they didn't let everybody out at the same time. So not everybody knows everybody. So there might have been people that don't know they're Christian. So the white boys, and the homies was at it. Nobody's gonna stop and ask, "Hey, are you a Christian? Are you an active homie? Who do you run with? Whatever." They're just going to go based off your looks. So these brothers felt they had to handle their business, and they did. When I was on a level 3 yard, I did see a dude. He was out of the IE. That's all I'm going to say as far as his identity. He ain't going to put his name out there. He ain't going to put his neighborhood out there. But he was out of the IE. Dude became a Christian. He, felt that that was the right thing for him to do. He became a Christian, and less than 2 months later, went back. He went to the homies, was like, "Look, I tried this Christian thing. It's not for me. What do I got to do to get back in?" They gave him a holler to do. He handled his business and was back running with the homies after that. Um, Now, I don't know, because of the holler he did. I know he went to the hole. Don't know what happened from there. Don't know if he ended up in the chute. Don't know if he ended up back on level 4, and how that whole thing was, how other people took it or accepted it, or what, excuse me. I don't know how it was taken, or what happened after that. I know this was in Ironwood on a level 3. I was there with the man, knew the man became a Christian, knew the man decided that wasn't for him, wanted to get back in the car, and, he was asked to do something, he did it, and that was that. So those are the two instances I've seen where something went on with a Christian, right? When I became a Christian, again, as I said earlier, I had already been in prison for 20 years. I had shoe terms under my belt. I had been involved in things. And I'm not trying to give the impression that I was anybody, but I was trying to be anybody, that I was not, I mean? I was just your average homie that knew the rules, that knew what time it was, that knew when my number was called, I had to handle my business, and I lived that way. So I don't ever want to give the impression, I don't want people to ever say that I'm out here saying that I was about this or I was about that I belonged to anything, particular, that I was up under any particular person or up under any, part of a crew or anything like that. No, I was a homie. I knew what the rules of engagement were. I knew the rules of doing time, especially as being a lifer and thinking I was never coming home. And that's what it was. So at the time where I became a Christian, I had already had a gang of time in. People already knew where my heart was at, what I was about. And that goes to how people say that people become Christian because they're scared, that it's weakness, that you're trying to hide behind the Bible. I became a Christian on a level 2 yard. What was I scared of? You know what I mean? I had already done 14 years on level 4. I had already done shoe terms. I've been New Folsom B facility. I had been in Salinas Valley CR. I had been on High Desert CR. I've been to Corcoran. I've been, you know what I mean? I've been to never made it to the Bay, never made it to Calipat. Some of the more violent prisons during the time that I was locked up. But I was in some spots where it was known to pop, and I was never scared. You know what I mean? So how is it that when I went to a level 2 that I became a Christian because I was scared? So let's go ahead and check that off the list. It had nothing to do with being scared. It had nothing to do with being weak. I had already shown that I had heart. I had already shown that I was willing to participate when my number was called. All that, and that's how it is for the majority of people. The Christian brothers that I knew, again, like I said, I wasn't there when they turned Christian, but I got to know some of them as people just from being on the yard, being in the same building with them, working in them, being in PIA with them, whatever. And none of them seemed like the scary type. As for the thing about, oh, you're hiding behind the Bible, where can you hide in prison? Ain't nowhere to hide in prison. You're in your cell, and you got to come out to the yard at some point. Whether you're going to go to a visit, you're going to walk across that yard, whether you're going to go to the canteen, you're going to walk across that yard. Some way, somehow, you're coming out of that cell at some point where people got action at you. So how are you hiding? I've never understood that when people say that, oh, they're hiding behind the Bible. How are you hiding? So a lot of people's comeback is going to be, well, when you become Christian, you don't have to participate in nothing. And that's true. But people that turn Christian are still men. And if someone pushes up on you, you're going to have a decision to make. If someone attacks you, you got a decision to make. Are you going to defend yourself or not? And for the most part, I'm sure most people are. Like I said, they're still men and they're in a very violent environment. So I don't get that about your hiding. You know what I mean? As I said, there were some Christians that jumped in on a riot supporting the homies. They weren't hiding. There was no place to hide. People make decisions because they feel that's what's best for them. You know what I mean? When it came to me, let me share with you my story of becoming a Christian. And if you saw my interview on the American Cholo podcast, or if you happen to see me or hear me sharing my story on LA Times with Paul, you've heard this already. Or if you checked out my on my Instagram, I did an interview with Nelly and Selly. It was called Set the Stage with Nelly and Selly. I talked about it there as well. But I became a Christian because I felt the call of God on my life. I had what I call a spiritual awakening. I had heard somebody share their testimony, and I felt what I felt at that time. I didn't understand. I know now it was the Holy Spirit, but at the time, it just felt like guilt to me. I just felt like this heavy burden of guilt for the way I've lived my life, for the things I've done, for the harm I caused. And that feeling led me to start looking in myself at who I was, at the things I had done, at who I wanted to be. And all that led to me understanding the call of God on my life and responding to that call. Had nothing to do with being weak, had nothing to do with being scared, had nothing to do with hiding. Come on, I'm on a level 2. The things that took a while at level 2 happen occasionally, of course. But again, it was a level 2, and it was mostly lifers, and we were all trying to go home. So there wasn't a whole lot of politicking going on. There wasn't a whole lot of drama between the races, because everybody was actually working together, trying to understand how to go to the board and get found suitable and go home. Everybody had already done their level 4 time, their level 3 time. Everybody had been down 20, 25, 30, 35 years and was focused on trying to go home. So for me personally, it wasn't about being scared. It was about feeling the call of God on my life, understanding there was something more for me, and being in a position to place faith over fear and make that move. Now, when I did become a Christian, did some cats come and talk to me? Absolutely, they did. That's part of the game. That's part of prison. Some people came and talked to me and let me know that, one, they asked me, "Hey, is it true? You're a Christian now?" My answer was yes. Was I scared at that moment? Absolutely. I thought there was a chance that maybe something was going to happen to me. But the call of God on my life was so strong, and I was so determined to answer that call that I said, yes, I'm a Christian now. And I got hugged and congratulated and received the blessing. It was made clear to me that there were rules. It was made clear to me that if I violated those rules, there'd be consequences. And I knew that. I had been in prison long enough to understand that. And I went with it. And when I encountered after that, I started going by my birth name. I started going by my government name. I wasn't going by my nickname no more. I wasn't introducing myself by my neighborhood anymore. And when people that I had known from some of the level 4s I was on, or the one level 3 that I had been to, which was Ironwood, when any of those people drove up to the level 2, I immediately would pull them to the side and let them know, look, the person you knew doesn't exist anymore. My name is Jim. I'm a Christian, Out of respect, I'm just letting you know. So that way, if you don't want to mess with me, if you don't want to kick it with me, you don't want to talk to me, whatever, because you don't like the fact that I'm a Christian now, that's cool. I understand that. And I'm giving you that respect and telling you up front. Not once did I get any bad feedback. Everybody hugged me, congratulated me, wished me the best, and kept it pushing. And continued to interact with me and continued to be my friend. And that was that. And the reason why I say that is because when Chill from 16 to Life talked about it a little bit, he talked about how within his race and within the people he kicked it with and within their different groups, um, that a lot of people looked bad on those that did become Christian, and sometimes even attacked them, robbed them, whatever. But I never saw that within our people. Never saw that within our raza. Never experienced it myself. Was never part of it. It was more like how Doug's talked about in his video. The people were given their space to do their thing. Just like what happened with me. They were made aware of the consequences. And then it was on you what you gonna do with it. You know what I mean? Don't get caught drinking no Pruno. Don't get caught looking at no smart books. Don't be messing with no dope. Don't be talking crazy. Don't be still trying to have your nose in the politics. Don't be in other people's business. You know what I mean? And if you're real for real about your faith and about becoming a Christian, you don't want to do those things anyway, because that's not a godly life. Does anybody become perfect when they turn Christian, whether in prison or on the streets? No, absolutely not. I've been home for 9 years now. I've been out here in society for 9 years. Still a Christian, actively involved in my church. Shout out to Victory Outreach. But am I perfect? No, I got struggles. I got big time struggles. I go through things every day. It's mine. Woo. Well, they say mine is a terrible thing to waste. Mine is a terrible thing if you don't take it into captivity, if you don't take those thoughts into captivity. You know what I mean? So no, nobody's perfect. But when you're in prison and you're walking that Christian walk, the consequences are a lot different than out here. Um, I did a video about that. Go check out that video. If you look through my videos, I have a video about is it harder to be a Christian in prison or out here in the streets. Go check that out. But getting back to the main topic, man, look, there's nothing weak about someone changing their life. There's no, it ain't about nobody's hiding. Are there people that maybe do it for those reasons? Quite possibly. I never encountered none. It wasn't my reasoning for doing it. It wouldn't make any sense because, like I said, you don't go anywhere. It's not like you're getting away by, oh, I'm a Christian now, so they're going to open the gate and let me out. No, things get harder for you. If anything, you're probably going to get tested more. Depending on your race and the people you around, people might want to now step to you and test you, and you know what I mean. So it's not like all of a sudden things become easier for you. Things become harder, and that takes heart to knowingly step into something that's harder. Why would anybody do that unless it was genuine? I speak for me when I say that my change was genuine because I felt the call of God on my life, and I knew I needed to answer that call. I don't regret it. My life is not easy, but I enjoy my life. I'm in a much better place now than before I became a Christian, and not just because I'm home. A real quick story: when I went to the parole board the first time, when I got denied, during the deliberation portion of the hearing, which is where the board talks amongst themselves about whether they're going to grant you parole or not, they take you, the prisoner, and put you in like a little holding tank while they do their deliberation. At this time, I had already became a Christian, so I'm doing what Christians do, and in times of stress and in times of worry and times of need, I started praying. And my prayer was, God, please, please let me go home. I miss my family. I miss my friends. I want to go home and have good food and wear regular clothes and be free to come and go. And when they called me back into the hearing room, they told me that they were denying me parole. They didn't think I was ready yet. They said I still had a gang member's way of thinking. Okay, cool. A year and a half later, I go back to the board, same scenario. We go through 3-4 hours of questioning. It's time for deliberations now. They put me back in a little holding tank. Again, I'm on my knees in prayer, but this time my prayer is different. The first time my prayer was about me, selfishness. God, please let me go home. I want to go home. I miss my family. The second time, my prayer was about God and what does He want. My prayer was, Lord, if you want me to stay in prison for the rest of my life and serve you, then that's what I'll do. And I meant it when I said that. I said, if you want me to stay in prison for the rest of my life and serve you, that's what I'll do. But if you have some work for me to do out there in the world, then send me out there to do it. That was my prayer. It wasn't about no more me and me wanting to go home. And it was about, God, what do you want? What do you want me to do? And I went back in that board hearing room. Those people looked me in the face and told me that I was suitable for parole, and they were recommending to the governor that I be released. And 5 months later, I was released and came home. Been home 9 years, serving the Lord still. Very much an imperfect person, but I serve a perfect God. Not because I'm scared, not because I was hiding from anything, not because I was weak. The exact opposite. I was strong. I was strong enough to make a decision to do what was right, what I believed was right. It wasn't about hiding. There's no place too high when you're in prison. You on Front Street, especially in a level 2 dorm. Everybody sees everything. When you're on a 3-yard or a 4-yard where it sells, ain't no hiding. You're gonna come out of there. You're gonna have a celly. And that's a story that's something I meant to share earlier in the video, and I apologize. When I was on a little 4-yard when I was at Corcoran, we had just came from. It was when I came down from New Folsom. We went to Tehachapi. We were there for a few months, and they shot us all to Corcoran. Everybody that had come down from New Folsom, they sent us all to Corcoran. And so I ended up getting put in a cell with a paisa, right, with a Mexican national that was a Christian, which I wasn't tripping. You know what I mean? I knew that eventually I would find a homie to cell up with and whatever. But something that has always stuck with me that the dude said to me, and I respected him so much for doing it. He told me, he was like, look, I'm a Christian. I'm letting you know up front that I can't back you up. Well, if you get into anything, I'm not going to back you up. If they rush you on the tier, if another race rushes you, if you get into something with the Hurons, whatever, I'm not going to help you. And I don't mean that as no disrespect. I don't mean that as no offense, but that's my beliefs. I'm a Christian. I don't believe in violence, and I'm not going to back you up if you get into anything. And I respected the heck out of that. At first it kind of caught me off guard because it's like, dang, a lot of people probably would have took off on him, but I respected his heart. I respected him staying strong in his beliefs. I respected his faith over fear, and I was cool with it. I did end up moving, selling up with another life for another homie. But yeah, he was a good dude, good Christian dude. I respected the heck out of what he said. I respected his stance, and the whole point of this video was to let y'all know, at least to me, in my opinion, it is not weakness to turn Christian in prison. It is not hiding when somebody turns Christian in prison. It is answering the call. It is doing what a person feels is right for them, doing what they feel in their heart they're called to do. And it's something that takes strength, not weakness. I appreciate y'all checking my channel out, checking my video out. I'd really be grateful if it's on anybody's heart to sow a seed into this ministry. If you feel like blessing the Cash App with a little something to help the channel grow, I appreciate it. Let me go ahead and hit this real quick. Scroll on the top. The Cash App is right there if anybody feels like dropping anything. That's not the point of what I'm doing. I'm not on here looking for handouts. I'm not on here trying to work anybody out of any money, nothing like that. But if you like the content, if you want to invest in what I'm trying to do, you want to help me upgrade, get some better equipment. I need to get a microphone. I need to get some good headphones. I really want to develop this channel, but it's not easy. You know, I work a 9 to 5 job. I'm not a full-time YouTuber. I'm not a full-time content creator. I'm trying to do this when I can, where I fit in at. If you want to bless me, I appreciate it. I'm more than grateful. Truly appreciate you. If not, don't even trip. Please continue to check out the channel. You can support me by sharing the channel, letting people know about the channel, share my videos, like, hit that thumbs up, subscribe, let people know. That's all the support I need right there. If you can do that, hey, amen, I appreciate it. If you're able to drop a little something to help promote the channel, that's cool too. I appreciate it. I'm eventually looking to get some merch going, maybe some hats, some shirts, something, maybe start off with some stickers. I don't know. We're going to see what God wants to do with it. But I do appreciate everybody checking the channel out. I appreciate you taking the time. Look for some upcoming stuff. I know I keep talking about this interview I'm supposed to do with my brother Hamid, the founder of Faith Skater Ministries, who was also a lifer. That's my partner right there. Hamid, if you're watching, come on, man. Let's get this video done. I'm waiting on you, bro. The people are waiting on you, brother. Not me, the people. Let's do it for the people. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I appreciate everybody. God bless you. I'm a changed man for life. Jesus loves you, and so do I. God bless you. I'm